Hello everyone, it's your boy Itsuchi2. I just want to top online for a few minutes and kind of go over some of the programming side of things with the Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Clash of Ninja game that I'm developing. I did a poll yesterday asking if you guys would like to see more about the programming side of things, and there was some interest in it, so I wanted to go over some of those things. It's a lot of information, and I have tried condensing all of this into one or two videos, and it's just not going to work out that way. It'll be these long, kind of rushed through videos, so I just decided to, I wouldn't say take my time, but I'm going to break it up a little bit into a couple of different videos, so you'll probably see a video every day for the next couple of days going over a different aspect of the programming side of things. So today, the first couple videos we'll be talking about just the variables. Variables are just, they're self-explanatory, kind of the just the values within the game. It won't be the actual code itself, but the kind of building blocks that will be used in the code that we'll talk about later. So it's kind of important to go ahead and these are typically at the top of every single coding document. So we call those documents scripts. So, think about it like a movie script, The game's going to read the script to tell us, to figure out what the player's supposed to be doing. So this script is for basic movement, or the basic movement script. So this script will cover everything tied to a character's basic movement. None character specific. So these are not there will be nothing regarding moveset in here, but specifically things like walking, running, jumping, those basic moveset things. I have a separate script for each player that's a player-specific script that will contain their moveset. So like this is PTS Naruto's script for that. So he's going to have some character-specific things like kunais and harem and sexy jutsu and those kinds of things. But for now, we'll stick with the basic movement for the first videos. So we'll go ahead and dive right into the variables. What I'll be covering today is this first block here. I'll be able to go through these things a little bit quicker here, but these are the most important variables right here for a few reasons. I wouldn't say the most important, but they are very important. And so I'll go over those in this first kind of introduction video. So it'll be a little bit shorter on this one, and then I'll go more in depth, in later videos. So, so starting here, these are what we call public variables. So these will be visible in what's known as the game editor. Let me see if I can bring that up for you. Yes. So this is my game editor. So this tracks, this is where the game is actually designed. So I'll go ahead and open up Naruto's PTS folder here. So what you'll notice here is these variables that we're seeing right here, there's a couple of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there's 12 variables right here. You'll notice that these 12 public variables will display in my editor over here under my my basic movement script. So you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So here are those 12 variables that we just saw over here. So by being public, they give me the ability to see them live. So the reason why I need that is, so let me start with the first one. So the first is what we call a string variable. String variables just contain any kind of text. Nothing special, just text, general text. However long or complex you want it. This is just a text bubble essentially. So we have a string variable for the name of the character. So PTS Naruto, that kind of stuff. And you'll see it over here in the editor. I was able to go ahead and type in PTS Naruto because that's the name of this character. So it'll display correctly, on the HUD, things of that nature. The second variable here set is going to be Boolean values, or bool for short. These are just true-false values, so it'll either be true or false, and it can be changed, of course. There's two of them, one for show hitboxes and one for block enabled. Same thing in the editor, it's just a little toggle. So if these are just for testing, really. If I'm testing a player and I need to see what the hitboxes look like, I can check that box, and it'll actually go ahead and show the hitboxes and hurt boxes visibly on screen so I can see them. But of course, in normal gameplay, you want those to be invisible. Same thing for block enabled. We typically want block enabled, but if I just need to test movesets really quickly, I can just quickly disable block so I can test the movesets. And of course, for the final release, I just re-enable it. So that's kind of what that value's for. The next set of variables is going to be our float variables. A float is just a precise number. So that means it can contain decimals infinitely. So typically anytime you're working with programming and you need a precise number, you're almost always going to be working with float variables. I have a couple of them here. Max power and max block. Those two kind of go hand in hand. I'll go back to the editor. Those are right here. Sorry if it's a little bit hard to see. I don't have a way to scale this like I do the code side. But so this value will typically be somewhere between 250 and 350 in most cases. This is kind of like your player's health. I don't do health in my game. I do the power system, so that's why it's a power bar. So how much power points essentially does a player have? So it'll typically range between 250 and 350. So you see PTS Naruto's kind of on the lower side because he's not really super powerful, if we're being real. He has QB powers, but he himself does not have that much power. Same thing with block. His block's about a 75. This will typically range, somewhere between 50 and 150 in most cases, with some special cases. So that's kind of what that's for. The remaining ones are just for walking, dash, sidestep, and evade. These are just the speeds at which you walk, dash, sidestep, or evade, so self-explanatory. The last three variables, color and color, or I guess these next two, color and colors. These are color variables. They just control two easy things. The color variable, first one, it's one color. It controls the color of your aura, kind of like your player-specific color. So if you throw a ninja tool, it's going to be that color that traces it behind. So like Naruto's is yellow for younger Naruto. It also will control the color of your aura, like when you go into Latin ninja powers, that aura that kind of appears to let you know your Latin ninja powers have activated. That color. So again, PTS Naruto's is yellow, Sakura's may be pink, Sasuke's may be blue or purple, stuff like that. The second set of colors, it's an array, so it can contain more than one value within it. So this contains two colors, one for your primary power bar color and the secondary power bar color. So since I'm doing the power bar, they are color specific, and that color is tied to the character you're playing as. Again, so like Naruto's primary color will be yellow for his power bar, and if there is another character selected for player 2 that also has a yellow power bar, the second player will default to their secondary color. So that way the colors always stay different. So Naruto's two colors are primary is yellow, secondary would be orange. Sasuke's could be, primary is blue, secondary is purple, for example. Sakura, pink, and red. So that's what this is for. And that's selected in the editor actually. So you'll see that right here. So for Naruto, I have his color selected as yellow, and for his primary, secondary, you see that I have those already input. I can add third colors, but I would never use them, so I just put two in here for now. If I need a third color, I can put it there. It's just not needed. But those will be set in the editor. And this last variable we'll talk about in this video is the status. This is a very important variable. It's a string again, just like the name. This one updates in the code though, so I don't actually ever type this in the editor. Like in the editor, I'll type the PTS Naruto. This one will always remain blank. This is purely here for my visual aid. I will remove this in the final version because this isn't needed for the final game, up here at least. But it is needed for me to see when I'm debugging. This tracks the live status of the player at any given moment. If they're walking, jumping, about to jump, in a combo, what combo are they in? Anything going on with the player, that status is going to tell me what's happening. This is crucial when I'm debugging. So if the game gets soft lock, if a character gets stuck, I can see exactly where that bug is, okay? The game just soft lock. What's going on? Okay, the character was walking when this soft lock happened. Okay, I need to go check that walking block of code to see what's going on, what's causing this. So it doesn't always work, but it at least helps me narrow down to see, okay, generally speaking, kind of what's going on with the character when these soft locks happen. Or if I notice something's weird, I need to add something somewhere, I can see, okay, at what point do I need to add this particular part, or if something's being skipped, I can run, I can add it to the status. Okay, when this line of code runs, update my status, and if my status doesn't update, I know that that line of code was somehow missed, and I can rewrite the logic. So status is very important, and anytime the status is updated, it is visible in my editor. So I can see that. I'll see if running the game will work. We'll see if this works live for you to be able to see. Okay, so, oh, yes, so it's up. It may not be 60 frames per second, but at least it's up. So I'm going to pause it right here, and if I pause it at that exact moment, I can click on my player 1 and I can see the status right now. The status is in stance. So this player right now is standing still. Let me run this game. Let's see. I'm going to do an attack. And then pause. So at this exact moment, if I look at the status now, the status is it's in an attack status using the up B, or I guess 8B. I need to update the verbiage here. So it's an 8B that's happening right here, or 8 weak attack, depending on how you talk about these games. So that's what player 1's doing. He's doing kind of his up kick, up B. And player 2, you see his status is block air. That means he's blocking in the air. So that's kind of what that status is tracking. And as this updates, let's switch back to player 1. I can check on the exact frame that this player, let's see, it'll probably update once he goes back into stance. So at that moment, the character's back in stance and able to move again. And same thing with player 2. As he's falling from his block, it should switch to land. And now the character's landing, and it plays that kind of landing animation, so it's tracking exactly, precisely what's going on with the player, and it should switch to stance. Yep, now the player's now in stance. So that's kind of how that works, and that's why that's important. Of course, in the final game, it will not be needed to be visible, so I'll remove it from the visual side of things. But anyway, those are the first group of variables. This video ended up being a little bit longer, but we'll talk about some of these other ones in the upcoming video. I won't go through all of them, because that's a lot of time, but I'll go through the important ones. And of course, if you have a question about something, you can always ask a question in the comments. But thanks you guys for tuning into this one, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.